It may be a sweep. It may be just sending him 40 yards down the field. The beauty of rostering Debo against a bad suspect team like Jacksonville is he will be fully involved no matter what the scenario is, no matter who's throwing him the football, and no matter where he is on the field. Debo has a shot to blow up, and I love the matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, speaking of loving the matchup, you may not find a better game to go over the total across the board than that Jets-Dolphins game, which still sits at the time at 44.5. The Jets give up points. This isn't the old days of a really bad offense and a decent to good defense keeping them in games. This is a horrific football team that is going to give up a ton of points to whoever they play. Just so happens to be the Miami Dolphins. Myles Gaskin sitting right now at $18. I think this is a really good opportunity to pay down for someone who is going to be heavily involved in the game plan to attack and exploit that Jets defense. He will be doing it on the ground. Myles Gaskin will be involved in the passing game with Tua. It's not just going to be Tua to Waddle all day. Expect Gaskin to have a lot of opportunities, and that's really all we need from somebody in that $18 to $16 range, maybe even closer to a punt range, is just give me opportunity. Will there be minutes in the NBA? Yes. Will there be snaps and targets in the NFL? Yes. Then it's worth taking a shot at a mid-range or punt. Myles Gaskin fits the bill here to a T, and that's why I love rostering Gaskin. $18. We can save some money here for a big performance against the Jets and spend elsewhere. All right, Dak Prescott at the quarterback spot, Debo at the wideout spot, and Myles Gaskin we are rostering as our running back. Now, click those links below. Make sure you take full advantage of what we have to offer for you. And upon your first sign-up and paid contest entry with Yahoo, we're going to give you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm Eitan Shander. Have a great night and good luck. Welcome back. Good Sunday. It's the Awesemo Fantasy Football Show on the Awesemo Fantasy Football Channel. We welcome you in an hour to get to everything from injuries to start sits. A lot of questions already building up. As you know, we are down Nick this week, hoping all is well. Wish him the best. But still, we have RC in the house, myself. Chris is producing everything from Yahoo. We'll tell you about in a second. My man, it's good to see you. Glad you weren't banned. Glad you didn't have to deal with any of that drama and all that stuff that happened over the weekend. But always a pleasure to have you back ready to roll with us today.
Absolutely. The alma mater might look bad in the broadcast booth, but I'm trying to keep it classy as much as possible on this show today. I know the most classy member of the trio of us is gone today, and Nick, but hey, we'll try and class this joint up, just you and me.
Here's the thing. You can curse on this one. I know there was an issue, right?
It's great, too. It's great. Just a little subtle jab in there. You can get a little curse word in there. I'm totally fine with that.
Yes,
I'd have to slip one in there, especially with how my fantasy lineup looks this week. It is bad.
Well, I'm sure injuries aplenty. We have to deal with that all over the place. It's impacting everything from the DFS to the betting world. It sure as hell is impacting us on the season long. Where are you looking at it? And it's good to start with you personally, right? Because this is where you have the most vested interest with your own eyes. So what injury or two really impact you the most heading into this slate?
Alvin Kamara, simple and plain. I have him everywhere. And I was not fortunate enough to get Mark Ingram. I know a lot of people were, but Alvin Kamara losing a guy that's a top 5 back is just, I mean, there's no coming back from that, right? So just trying to find my way through. I mean, just a peek behind the curtain. I have to start Jeff Wilson, which is not a have to. I'm very thankful I have him. But I was talking to Chris before the show started. At my flex position, this is how down bad I am this week. This is how you know injuries have just ruined your year. In my flex spot in a non-PPR league, I am deciding between Jarvis Landry and Dearness Johnson.
Ooh.
It's that bad for me. It's that bad. And Nick Chubb is back. Like, that's how bad it is for me. Yeah, it is awful right now.
Is Landry not, though, and I hate to use the term sneaky, but is Landry, and maybe he's more suited for a DFS play, but again, this is desperation time right now, right? You have to. Well, also, the Detroit quarterback, Tim Boyle, right? What's his name? Matt Boyle, Tim something, right? Tim Doyle.
You got Boyle right. Just throw a first name in there. You probably got it.
Blank Boyle is out there. And so, there's going to be a good chance for Cleveland to be up. Nick Chubb, you're right. Initially I'm thinking, oh, go Landry. But now that I talk myself through it, that is a pretty difficult decision. I would just think maybe out of sheer volume, Landry's going to be a good spot if you have in desperation mode, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think actually Jarvis Landry is a good start this week, but the problem is I think Dearness Johnson is too, because Nick Chubb has only gotten, 1 or 2, practices in this week due to being on the COVID list and everything like that, being activated here recently. I mean, I think Nick Chubb is going to be the running back 1 for the Browns. Obviously start him, but Dearness Johnson doesn't feel like an abysmal play, right? Like, I think if you get up, and it wouldn't surprise anybody if it's 42-6 in this game. I mean, we're talking about Blank Boyle, whatever his name is. We're not trying to curse there. It's just we don't know what his first name is.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's for me, that's where I'm at right now. I know nobody cares about that, but it's also just like, what the hell am I going to do here?
Look, I bet you there are people out there, even in this very show, watching that are dealing with, if not that very situation, a situation to start sit that impacts one of those two guys, be it Johnson or Landry. So don't sell yourself short by any means. I'm dealing with the quarterback situation here, and I think it's one that I want to go with, but there's always that conversation in the back of your head about, did you make the obvious one? And it's a back and forth I deal with each and every week, depending on the matchup. And yes, Green Bay's defense is playing a little bit better, but I'm concerned now with Aaron Rodgers and this toe injury here. So I've got Cousins or Burrow. I am going to start Burrow, although the Vegas pass defense is not nearly as bad as their rush defense. So I thought maybe this could be a Mixon game. And this is probably a really big opportunity to talk about getting to Joe Mixon if you haven't already. But that's kind of the big one that I'm going back and forth with on my squad.
Man, I'm in love with Joe Burrow this week. I am. I'm starting him everywhere. I have 3 DFS lineups. He's my quarterback in every one. He's a starter in both of my big time leagues, the league that we were just talking about with Dearness Johnson. I love the matchup there, but I also don't mind the matchup with Kirk Cousins either, because let's be honest, Green Bay secondary is not going to play as good as they did against Seattle last week. Like, that's the best game of the season when we look back at it. And that could be due in large part to really Russell Wilson just not being ready to play, it seems like. But yeah, man, I'm in love with Joe Burrow this week. I think he's going to just light it up. I think that's going to be an absolute shootout out in the desert between Cincinnati and the Raiders and everything. I'm looking forward to that game a lot.
All right, everybody, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed here as we continue to build on the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. I know Nick is out, but he's in the chat. So even in spirit, Nick is with us, and then also his rankings. So you'll see Chris will cycle Nick Leprie's Week 11 rankings throughout as RC and myself talk. We have a bunch of already, people come in before the show even starts trying to get some inside information here from you, brother. So let's look at where we are right from the beginning. Start Collins. Now, this is Go Bills 17. We won't hold fandom against anybody, especially that, right? Start Collins over Saquon because he doesn't want to be left with no running backs. So Alex Collins or Saquon Barkley for you? We know that Chris Carson IR'd.
Yeah. And so I think the nice part about this is for him, at least you in theory have 2 starting running backs for the remainder of the season, right?
Yeah.
Especially if Saquon comes back. I get the point of view where I don't want to be left without a running back on Monday night. I get that, but I'm probably starting Saquon Barkley there. I'm kind of like Nick in the regard of I'm going to roll the dice here. I'm going to play the guy that I think is a stud and a guy that you're going to start every week. And Saquon Barkley is that when he's healthy. I would be kicking myself if Saquon went off on Monday night and I needed, maybe 20 points and he gets 23. I would be kicking myself if that happens. So I got to start my stud there, and I'm going to start Saquon regardless of the injury scares.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all, man. And just looking at Arizona's defense, because so much is going to be made about it. And it looks like Kyler Murray is trending towards not playing. I know it's a later game today, but just looking at the matchup itself against Arizona, knowing, of course, that the quarterback issues are out, they have a decent run game, defense, pass defense, really good. So this could be a tighter game. Collins could get some looks there, but you're right. You don't want to miss out on Barkley coming out and having a big one here. Another one, and this involves quarterbacks. Clearly, Cam, I think, has a ton of value this week. A lot more probably in the DFS world because he's going to be cheaper. But earlier on, Newton or Hurts. And I think this is interesting because New Orleans is down a ton of key guys, right? It's not just Kamara, offensive lineman, starting quarterback. I think this could be a bad spot for the Saints where they're down early and, dare I say, often. And it's not a true representation of who they are. It's just circumstantial, RC. So all of a sudden, we may see one of these games where, the Eagles win by 17, 20 points, and Jalen Hurts is only thrown for like 16 times, and he's rushed for like 40 yards because they didn't need him to do much. Versus Newton, who we know is going up against that bad Washington and outside of McCaffrey, probably has more scoring opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you in that regard. I would just say on the Newton side, I'm worried about him as well. You think about it, Ron Rivera is playing Cam Newton for the first time. Like, if anybody knows how to stop Cam Newton, it is Ron Rivera, right? And then you have Matt Rule come out and say, PJ Walker's going to get a little bit of run at quarterback too. This isn't just going to be the Cam Newton show. Yeah, he's going to start, but he's not going to be just the only guy. So I wonder how that looks. I do think Cam Newton's going to take a majority of the snaps at the quarterback position. And I mean, PJ Walker probably comes in for maybe 6 or 7 snaps, but I think when it comes down to it, I have to play Jalen Hurts in this regard, just because I think the rushing upside is far too high. I know Cam Newton brings that rushing upside specifically near the goal line, but Christian McCaffrey is Cam Newton's best friend, right? And that is a great best friend to have. But Jalen Hurts, it seems like every week, it never fails. He might have the shittiest first 3 quarters in there. I got that curse word in there. They can't find me, Big 12.
No FCC here.
Yeah, no Big 12 here coming at me to reprimand me. But Jalen Hurts always seems to just always finish in the top 8, regardless of how the first 3 quarters go. Like that fourth quarter, it always seems like he goes out there and he gets you the numbers that you expect. So I'm going to start Jalen Hurts with confidence. I know that the Saints, like you said, are missing some guys, including Gardner Johnson in that secondary. And I saw your tweet the other day, maybe even yesterday, Malcolm Jenkins still should be in an Eagles uniform, but he's not, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 6-7 guy this week. So I'm going him over Cam Newton. Plus, I want to see what Cam Newton looks like in this offense to begin with anyway.
It's great. I think you're right there where the safer play, and I hate to use that word because it's probably the smarter play is the better way to put it, is Jalen Hurts. There's one metric that I just don't know how to really prepare for. And you could talk about New Orleans being a great rush defense because that's against plan runs, that's against designed attack. But when shit breaks down, now we're both in the same boat here. So if the FCC
1 for 1,
exactly. If that breaks down and Jalen Hurts is just surviving out there, trying to make a play and then tucks it, it technically counts against from a statistical standpoint, but that's the one wild card that Cam Newton won't be able to exploit anywhere near. And really, I mean, it's a couple of guys that are above Hurts with that. I just wonder how much we're going to see at the end of the day, Hurts throwing the football, because they've been able to commit so much to running. And that's been because they've been up or in that game with the Chargers. You mentioned Kamara from the jump, and I took the Saints on the look ahead last week. Now I look like an idiot because I have to reverse all of my predictions that I made leading up to Thursday night and through Thursday night, saying, oh, Saints, great value. Saints, Eagles have lost 4 in a row at home this year. It's impossible for them to lose this game against the Saints with so many people down. Now I jinxed it.
Oh man, my goodness.
That's the leopard jinx right
Impossible at
there.
11-14?
That's the jinx, right? I had to
Man.
bring back the leopard jinx.
Oh man, at least somebody had to do it. I'm glad it wasn't me. I do want to point this out there too, because Sirianni just hates this guy. You brought up the run game. Miles Sanders is back, so they're not going to run the football anymore.
You're right.
There you go.
Sirianni's got the leopard jinx inside of
Yeah.
himself.
So I think you got to bring that into account too. Miles Sanders is active now. They're not going to run the football anymore. It's that simple. Jalen Hurts, top quarterback of the week.
Are you getting to like how much, if you have him in your league, is he even a priority right now to come off the bench? Because it's the assumption is that you kept him, right? He gets hurt, you kept him, you didn't cut him, and you didn't trade him. So let's assume that you are speaking for all the people out there who kept Miles Sanders waiting for this day, this very day. All right. Whatever gift-giving holiday people celebrate in December, today is the day in which you get your present back, and it's Miles Sanders. I don't know what to say. You're right.
Yeah,
like the guy,
man.
but at the same time, RC, at the same time, we have an offense that has consistently run the football with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's one of those deals where I don't know if anybody that's in a proper situation where they would be willing or could bench Miles Sanders if you have him, right? Like everybody's going through injuries. We've talked about it some on our teams and everything like that. If you're lucky enough where you have, 2 starting running backs and then a potential flex that you feel more comfortable with than Miles Sanders, I would love to bench him and see what this looks like, because you mentioned the matchup already. This New Orleans defense is really good at stopping the run. They just really are. You watched it last week against the Tennessee Titans, who, again, they didn't have Derrick Henry. I get it. But at the same time, they stopped Deontay Foreman other than really a screen pass. And then Adrian Peterson was non-existent. So I want to see exactly what Miles Sanders looks like coming back off the IR if I am able to do so. But at the same time, it's week what now? We're going into week 12, 11, I guess 11 right now. Like, I mean, if you have that many running backs on your roster and that many flex options, more power to you, because I promise you 90% of the people don't. I probably have to start Miles Sanders just because, again, he's a healthy body at the running back position that's going to get the majority of his carries for his team. So I don't like it, but I probably have to do it, right? That's probably what it comes down to.
All right, Irvin on the chat. And Irvin asking to start 3 of 4. I think what's easier here, and we'll have you just rank based on what you have, your own projections, RC. We'll have Nick's cycle through here as well for both Irvin and everybody else out there. It's easier, I think, if you just look at where each one is according to how you have projected and ranked. So we have Godwin, Lamb, Evans, and DK Metcalf.
Definitely got to start Lamb, definitely starting Godwin. It's really interesting on the Metcalf and Evans, right? I think they're very similar players in the sense that they're either going to have boom type games or they are going to have, 3 catches for 37 yards and no TD. Like that's what it comes down to. And when you look at the matchups for both of them, I mean, Arizona's a tough matchup for DK. How is Russ going to look first and foremost? How's he going to look? I don't know. Yeah, and this is coming from a guy starting Tyler Lockett. I mean, because I have to. But when it comes down to it for me, I'm probably going to start Mike Evans in that regard and start 2 Buccaneer wide receivers just because the matchup's good. You're playing the Giants. I think that the Giants, crazy enough, can kind of keep it close in this game. But I think overall, when it comes down to it, I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have Godwin and Evans, and one of those guys are going to hit. And that's the biggest thing right there. And you're going to have one of them, and then you know what you're going to get in CeeDee Lamb as well in a matchup that, I mean, points galore in that one, right? You think about it in Kansas City. Like, would it shock anybody if we're talking about these teams like 38, 35? Like, I want everything I possibly can get in that game. So, I'd probably start those 3. Don't feel good about benching DK, but I don't know what Russ is at this point, and that's kind of scary to me.
By the way, that is a hell of a wide receiver core. I'm assuming that Irvin is looking at this comparatively throughout multiple rosters, because if in fact, Irvin, you drafted all 4 of those guys on your squad, that's either a reflection of the league you're in or the fact that you probably shouldn't be here. Like you should be at the advanced level. right? To say,
Yeah, I mean, trade one of them for a running back. We know you
right.
need one because everybody does.
I love it. I read here Bateman or Foreman, pardon me. But the catch is that it's the half PPR league.
I probably go Foreman. I'm worried about Bateman without Lamar. I really am. I'm worried about everybody on that Ravens offense, even Mark Andrews. You're going to start Mark Andrews just because it's tight end, and really everybody has to start at tight end like Mark Andrews, regardless of the matchup and the situation at quarterback. But I think Foreman, revenge game. He's got a revenge game going up against the Houston Texans today. So I think that if you feed into that narrative, it's a good start. But also at the same time, I expect Tennessee to take care of business, go out there, and really just be able to run the ball in the second half. And I think Deontay Foreman and Adrian Peterson are solid plays, with Deontay Foreman being the better of the two.
Yeah, and Lamar being out actually is a good spot. I mean, Hollywood Brown out as well. So you really now here's the thing. This is also, and we saw this with Dearness Johnson. There is going to be somebody there who's going to have an opportunity to do something. It's not like this is the 85 Bears, right, who are coming into town with this big vaunted defense either. So, yeah, it's not ideal, and it's not a smart spot to like target unless you have to. And again, we talk a lot about circumstance and out of desperation, especially this kind of deep into the season. So where is it in the backfield? Is it Mark Andrews simply because people have already been looking at him, or is there somebody else maybe on the ancillary spot, RC, that is going to be able to take advantage of at least targets or at least snap volume, to say the very least, to be out there?
It's going to feel really disgusting to say this, but Sammy Watkins.
Hey, somebody, I'm telling
really
you, somebody
disgusting.
out there. Yeah.
It feels really disgusting. And real quick, by the way, if they're available, go pick up the Bears defense. You get no Lamar Jackson this week, and then you get to face, did we ever figure out his first name? Is it Tim?
Matt.
Is it Tim Boyle? I'm going to go with Tim Boyle until we're proven wrong.
Yes.
I'm very confident in that.
Boyle. Yes, Tim Boyle.
There you go. And he's going to play on Thanksgiving against the Bears. Like, the Bears could win you 2 matchups at the defensive spot right now. Go see if they're available. Considering you get to play 2 backup quarterbacks, and one of them is the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions, which I guess could be better than Jared Goff the way he's been playing lately. Back to the Ravens, though. Yeah, I think it's Sammy Watkins. Devontae Freeman is interesting as well. I wonder how the Bears attack this, right? They lose Khalil Mack. Akeem Hicks is also not going to play. I'm very curious to see if they just say, all right, we're going to make the quarterback beat us, or are we going to try and make these washed up running backs beat us? Because that's kind of what it is for the Ravens, right? You got Freeman, Murray might be active as well. I think overall, Sammy Watkins is the guy that I'm targeting that's probably available in most leagues, but I don't think Bateman's a bad start. I just think that there are better options considering Lamar is inactive. And I'll say this, if Lamar was active, man, I would be loving Rashad Bateman. I'd be starting him everywhere because, as you mentioned earlier, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown is out today. So right. I think that Sammy Watkins is probably that, distant second option in the passing game behind Mark Andrews. But I mean, I don't feel comfortable starting anybody other than Mark Andrews for the Baltimore Ravens in this one.
No, I think you're right, man. It's such a risk. And again, you'd have to be really dealing in a circumstance of desperation, to say the least. All right, so let's keep it moving. New life on the chat here. And again, hit that thumbs up, please. We see new people popping in as we lead you up to the slate locking across the board at 1 Eastern. Make sure you're subscribed as well to the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. And in return, we're going to give you some money, $10 free to play with at Yahoo. Click those links below. That's the first one. And then right below it, if you haven't signed up yet at Yahoo, don't worry, we have you covered. And we're going to give you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum free just for signing up and placing your first deposit. And again, if you are hanging with Yahoo, then that's where the $10 comes into play. So Gronk or Gesicki here. And again, no Lepre to talk about his Dolphins, but I should say, as you and I are definitely going to have some eyes on this game from both a fantasy to betting standpoint. Yeah. As ugly as it is on paper, this is a gift that keeps on giving, with the Jets defense being atrocious and that total being so low, knowing that the Dolphins could clear it on their own. So you're dealing with Gronk coming back, still injured, right? Coming back, playing through that, or Gesicki on a team with Tua back. And I know that there's been this kind of refusal or maybe just kind of ignoring Gesicki more than like a Waddle, which I get. But don't you have to play the defense and the health over Gronk coming back?
100% with you. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the matchup speaks volumes right now. If this is a more difficult matchup for Mike Gesicki, I'd probably start Gronk even with the health questions. But I mean, we're talking about the freaking New York Jets right here. They're abysmal against the tight end and the running back. I mean, Myles Gaskin and Mike Gesicki should feast today. Start Tua Tagovailoa as well. Jalen Waddle. I mean, like you said, it's the gift that keeps on giving with the New York Jets. Take the free blank square on the bingo card when you play the New York Jets at the tight end and running back position. Mike Gesicki, obviously at the tight end position. Don't overthink it, especially with that Gronk injury. I know he's going to play. He got a full week of practice in, but play the matchup here. Play Mike Gesicki.
All right, now I'm going to really test you because I'm dealing with this situation. So you are absolved ahead of time. I'm not going to come back. There's not going to be any Twitter beef or anything like that if you get it wrong. I really am in a spot right now that I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to push that game theory with Miami you laid out about Gesicki, because I think Gaskin is in a great spot as well.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm dealing with, and it's one spot, full PPR, all right? Mike Williams, okay. Antonio Gibson, Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin.
You didn't even hesitate, RC.
Myles Gaskin, man. I'm done with Mike Williams, man. I gave him one last week. I'm done, bro. I'm done. Until he proves that he can sit on the bench. He can sit on the bench, bro. He can sit on the bench for me. And then Antonio Gibson, for me, in one of my leagues, I actually did this week. He went off last week, right? He got 60-something yards, 2 TDs. I traded him because it's not going to get any better than that. Like, it's just not. Especially with that injury. Myles Gaskin is facing the worst team against running backs in fantasy football this season in the New York Jets, right? You look at this. I have the numbers pulled up. This is how crazy it is. Defense versus RB stats this season for fantasy points allowed.
Okay.
The Seattle Seahawks are second, and they give up 27.4 fantasy points per game to the running back position. The New York Jets are number 1 and allow 35.4, an 8-point difference. Start Myles Gaskin, be happy about it. If anything, we know this, at least he's going to be the main guy in that backfield, because that Houston Texans game, if he didn't lose snaps after that where he had 20 carries for 34 yards, he's the guy. They have no other option. Just start him and be happy with whatever results you get, because Tua might be a dink and dunk master today with Jalen Waddle, Gesicki, and Myles Gaskin.
So John has a question, and it's regarding Tua, but it's also factoring in what I think a lot of people out there are dealing with, which is, okay, no Kyler Murray, now what? Tannehill over Tua, Murray, normal quarterback for John.
Man, Tannehill he's been a better real-life quarterback than he has fantasy quarterback this year, and that's crazy because last year he was, I don't know if a lot of people know this, he was quarterback 2 on the year. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go 2 and play. I think I'm going to go 2 and play the matchup just because I think it's more likely that the Jets stay close to a bad Dolphins team than it's likely that the Texans stay close to a really good Titans team, if that makes sense. So I think there's going to be more opportunity for Tua to pass the ball, a little bit more opportunity to get a couple more rushing yards and everything like that. I mean, I think this game between the Texans and Titans could be done at halftime when it's all said and done, with the way that the Titans defense is playing. And by the way, if you have the Titans defense, I think they're the best play this week, personally, with the way that they're playing on defense. But on the Tannehill front, I'd probably go Tua over Tannehill this week. Again, excuse me while I throw up in the garbage can right next to me.
Do you want us to go to like a full screen?
No, I don't think that's probably good for audio or anything. I'll be sure to mute.
We can mute your mic if
you
really.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't probably think that's good. No one really wants to see me throw up today. They already saw, Nick lie to the people and say he'd show up shirtless, and he didn't do that. So
that is
I
true.
don't, I'm not trying to get to Nick level of hatred in terms of the people.
True. Yes. Although, to be fair, I think people are just numb to all of the predictions. See, there you go. Chris has you covered, man.
There we go.
I'm telling you, anything you need on the fly, Chris has you. You need to go vomit because you can't believe what you just said. We actually have that built in. You think you're the first person on the channel to ever needed to vomit because they can't believe the analysis they just gave?
I'm glad this is an all-inclusive group and we are prepared. This is why Chris is the best in the business.
Oh my goodness. All right, Michael on the chat. Christian Kirk or Jeff Wilson in the flex. And let's assume this is full PPR. You know that Wilson, and you mentioned Wilson right at the jump that you're getting to him because of the favorable situation you were in, able to get to him. But a lot of love across the board for Wilson this week.
And I'm part of it, man. I think he's a top 10 play this week. I really do. I think he's going to get every carry. You think about it, and we have it up on the screen right now, the depth chart for the 49ers with no Elijah Mitchell. You have Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty, and Trey Sermon. They've already proven that Trey Sermon is not loved by Kyle Shanahan. He's just not. JaMychal Hasty, I mean, he's nothing special or anything like that. We've seen what Jeff Wilson can do in this 49ers backfield last season, right? He won people championships, including myself. Maybe I'm got a little bias towards him for that, but at the same time, this is a great opportunity in a game that I fully expect the 49ers to win and have a positive game script for the running back going out there. It wouldn't surprise me if Jeff Wilson gets 20 to 25 carries, $125 and a TD or two against Jacksonville, and maybe a couple catches as well. I truly believe he is a top 10 play this week.
Yeah, Kirk, and I feel like because of Colt McCoy, you really have to be, again, and this is the theme, I think, when we start to hit this like week 8+, you really have to gauge how desperate you are, right?
Yeah.
You have to come out and based on injury, based on who's throwing somebody the football, especially if you're dependent on that. Colt McCoy is such an issue to get around. Now, on the flip side, and this is the transition here, Joshua's kids on the chat, do you trust Gallup with Coop out? How can you not expect, like, that's the difference, right? It's not Colt McCoy throwing to whoever. You still have Dak out there. Now, I don't know as far as the specific connection that you trust with Dak and Gallup, knowing that there's also CeeDee Lamb, who could be pretty target heavy.
Yeah, I think that Michael Gallup is in a great spot. We talked about it a little earlier. This has the highest over-under of the week. I fully expect this to be a game where we're talking about 38-35. Dak and Mahomes going right back and forth with each other. And if that's how I expect the game to go, it'd be pretty bad advice of me not to put Michael Gallup pretty high and tell people to start him. So especially with no Amari Cooper for the next 2 games. So I think Michael Gallup is a very good play the next 2 games. You think about who's coming in to face the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It's the Raiders. So you talk about the Chiefs and the Raiders in back-to-back weeks for Michael Gallup. Yeah, I'm all steam ahead on him. I think he is a solid wide receiver too. Really good flex if you have him.
GZ on the super chat. We appreciate it. Definitely not necessary, but always appreciate this. Half-point PPR flex. Now you've got a bunch here. Deontay Johnson, Carter, Freeman, Goddard, or Jeff Wilson Jr. That's actually an interesting crew there. I forget where you stand on the double tight end. So that may impact if you would even go. Yeah, you're shaking your head. No, you're
not a guy. Not a fan. Yeah. Not a fan. Yeah.
Again,
unless you got, Kelsey and Waller.
Right, exactly. There's never anything absolute except don't tease totals in college and the NFL. But other than that, right, you're good to
go. Or trust college kickers too.
Yes. Or curse on the broadcast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The 2 guys that stand out to me as I see is Deontay Johnson and Jeff Wilson Jr. Okay. Right. I think for me, it's going to be really interesting on the fact of the whole quarterback situation with the Steelers, right? There's not a whole lot of clarity there. But for me, I want to get as many touches as possible. And at the same time, Deontay Johnson is probably the most safe wide receiver in PPR because he's going to get, it feels like 7 to 8 catches a week with like 10 or 11 targets, right? It just feels like that. He's super safe. And I may hate myself for saying this, but I'm starting Jeff Wilson. I would start Jeff Wilson out of that crew just because, again, he is the lead running back on a team where we know Kyle Shanahan wants to run the football, and he's going to get 20, 25 touches this week. And I think he's going to do excellent things against the Jacksonville Jaguar defense that outside of 1 week the past month doesn't look too great against the running backs. And that was just because Buffalo has shit running backs, if we're being honest about it.
No, you're right. And I think you're definitely honest about it for sure with that situation there in Buffalo. All right, let me do this. Let me take out the 2 ones that you like the most, Deontay and Wilson. Let's just look at it like half-point PPR flex, Carter, Freeman, or Goddard.
Carter.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy's in a nice situation. If y'all want to trade teams with me, by all means, I'm willing. I have Kamara and Zeke on a team. Y'all can have them. I have no depth. No depth. I don't even know what that word means. I'm in the kiddie pool while these guys are swimming in Olympic-sized swimming pools of depth. That's how bad it is for me right now.
All right, let's go Emmanuel or Gallup.
Oh, Gallup.
Gallup's got to be, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to get over the swimming pool
reference.
The kiddie
pool. No, I like that, man. Look, I hear shit from Nick. I hear shit from you each week that I'm thinking, I need to bring that up. And I do every now and again, depending on the platform. I might sneak it in there and be like, oh, yeah, I heard that from Nick. I heard that from Marcy. So I'll give you credit. I don't just steal. I steal in credit. Yes.
Yeah. You got to, photo credit in those articles and everything. You know what I'm
exactly right. All right. Captains, let's see here. Mac, let's go D. Williams, T. Higgins, or there's Gallup as well. Let's go one between the three.
Who was the first name you mentioned again? Sorry.
Darrell Williams.
I'm probably going T. Higgins, man. I talked about my love for Joe Burrow this week. I think that's a shootout game between the Raiders and the Bengals. I'm super excited to start T. Higgins. And in fact, again, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I mentioned that I have Joe Burrow in every DFS lineup. I have T. Higgins with the stack in there too, because it's the cheaper option. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, Jamar Chase is the one. But the Raiders secondary is a little underrated when it comes to taking away the best option in the receiving core. You think about it, Casey Hayward and all those guys, they've actually done a pretty solid job for the Raiders this year. So I'm really excited to start T. Higgins. I see Nick has him as a top 20 option, and I wholeheartedly agree. I would start T. Higgins in that regard.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of love too, and understandably in the DFS world. And clearly this is a great opportunity for him in that. And I'm with you. I mean, I have the Bengals from a bet standpoint, from a player prop standpoint, from DFS to season long. Anytime I can work somebody in here from Mixon to Burrow to especially T. Higgins, you mentioned as far as the cheaper option from a DFS standpoint. But I think it transfers over here just as you referenced the opportunity. Really, that's what we're looking at, the opportunity against Vegas. I also think that Vegas is kind of teetering right now on being shot.
Same.
It's definitely not what we saw when they were cooking earlier. And I don't know if it's just so much on the outside has just crushed them to where it's just hard answering questions each and every week. But it just feels like this team is teetering on being cooked.
No, I'm right there with you. I was all in on Darren Waller to begin the season. It's one of those guys where even at the tight end position, he's underperformed, right? I think this week he probably plays great. But yeah, the outside distractions have just caught up to him, right? You think about it. You lose your coach because of some emails.
Yep.
One of your best wide receivers literally kills someone. In a car accident. And not to mention, you have a corner going on Instagram Live saying he's going to kill somebody with the guns that he has. What's going on? And not to mention, I don't even know if you're going to have your GM, the same guy there next year. There's so many distractions going on. You can only blame them so much. And I didn't even mention Derek Carr. Is he going to be the Raiders quarterback next year?
Nobody
who knows at this point. So, there's just so much going on. It's hard not to blame them from a human perspective in terms of their performance on the field suffering. But if you see that on the field, you have to adjust in fantasy. And I think that's what you have to do. And I think it's a great play right now to play virtually everybody against the Raiders.
Kenyon on the chat, Russell, and this is interesting here because we talked a lot about Burrow. You and I are so big and high on Burrow this week, rightfully so, I think, as you laid out. Russell Wilson or Burrow. And this also, we brought up Russ earlier about what to expect from him. There is, I don't know, somewhere in me, I do recognize the bounce back factor, which is there is just no way in hell that offense could look as bad and pathetic as it did against the Packers last week. Just no way, right?
No, yeah, there's no way. And again, we talked about my crappy league. I'm actually starting Joe Burrow over Russell Wilson. So there you go. But yeah, I'm right there with you in the sense that it would not surprise me at all if Russell Wilson comes out and proves that, hey, I'm QB1 this week. But at the same time, the matchup doesn't dictate that. And what we saw last week with the finger health doesn't dictate that either. You don't know what Russell Wilson you're going to get right now just because of the health aspect of it. You're playing an Arizona defense that's, in my opinion, underrated. Isaiah Simmons has really taken that second-year leap for them. And then you think about it as well, are they going to run the football just because we don't know Russ's health? I know, obviously, you lose Chris Carson for the year, but you have Alex Collins back there. We know that Pete Carroll loves to run the football. What does this offense even look like against Arizona? And how many passes is he going to even get to throw because Colt McCoy is starting opposite of him?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's limited upside there for Russ. So in that situation, I'm starting Joe Burrow just because, again, I think it's going to be an absolute shootout between Vegas and the Bengals, and I want to have as many pieces as I possibly can.
All right, let's look at our old buddy Miles Sanders returning here against Alex Collins. Don on the chat, PPR, Miles Sanders or Alex Collins?
Is it possible just to say pass?
Don't you have to go? But
it
yes,
feels disgusting. It
yeah,
feels
but then
disgusting.
Don's gonna not, he's
no, I know. I got to help Don out. Yeah, no, I got you.
Don't you have to go Collins simply because we know he's getting the football?
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, also, I think it's proven Nick Sirianni hates Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So until he proves otherwise, yeah, I'm going to go with Alex Collins because, yeah, Rashad Penny's there. But let's be honest, if Rashad Penny is impacting your way of thinking about Alex Collins, he shouldn't. He's bad. It was a bust. Let's move on. Alex Collins is the lead back there. At least we know he's the lead back. We don't know what Boston Scott's role is going to be. We don't know what Jordan Howard's role is going to be. And we don't know how many touches Miles Sanders is going to get back in his first game activated from the IR. So I'm starting Alex Collins there. And again, I will grab my bucket and throw up for the second time this show.
I think you're on to something, though. And just to come back to a name we haven't really talked much about that I'm sure you could have streamed out there if you haven't already, and that's Jordan Howard. Because the one thing that now you do have to deal with another factor, and that's the vulturing from Jalen Hurts, who clearly is going to selfishly tuck and run 3, 4, 5 yards away from the end zone. But if there is a designated back, and Miles Sanders' return doesn't trump this by any means, because Jordan Howard is going to be in this position that they didn't have a guy to fill earlier. They just didn't know, or because they were giving Sanders a shot. Point being, short yardage and mainly goal line situations that the Eagles find themselves in. That's where I think you can count on Jordan Howard. Is it enough? Is it enough to race to roster him? Probably not, right? But to your point about the uncertainty with Miles Sanders, I'm uncertain about everybody. Scott, Sanders, Howard, and Gainwell, assuming that all four are up. I just also don't know, like, anything to expect with Sanders. The small thing I can lean on is that Howard's going to get a couple of short / goal line opportunities, and maybe we see something like the Gus bust we used to see, right? Where it's like 5 carries in the game, but 2 of them are touchdowns.
R.I.P., man. I miss him so much.
Was he a guy from the jump that you had to work around?
I miss him so much.
Oh,
wait. You're really starting to trigger me this morning. Like, there's a lot of triggers things that you're going on here in terms of just like bringing my mental health down this morning.
I didn't even mean to.
Yeah, I know. It's not on purpose, but it's just like, man, like, talk about kicking a guy while he's down.
I know.
I mean, my goodness.
It's
all right, though. But no, I think you bring up a great point, too, in terms of Jalen Hurts. Like, that is a big deal, right? You think about it from a Miles Sanders perspective and then an Alex Collins perspective. Yeah, Russell Wilson's going to move a little bit. But at the same time, the Seahawks are going to want to keep him upright and limit those tuck and runs by Russell Wilson. Jalen Hurts, he's going to have 5 to 10 of those a game in terms of where he's going to tuck and run. If that happens around the goal line, that limits Miles Sanders' potential. And then Jordan Howard might be in around the goal line. Boston Scott might be the third down back because they might need him in pass pro, and he's been the best pass protecting running back that they've had, even though he's the smallest guy. And then what does that leave Miles Sanders? I mean, maybe 12 carries, maybe if you're lucky. I mean, and we're talking about a guy that might be limited since it's his first game back from the IR. I'm trying to steer clear of him as much as possible, but at the same time, we're in week 11, and if you have a healthy running back, you probably have to start the said healthy running back.
Now, Chris is in a tough spot here, so we have to help him before we get out of here. Kenyon Drake or AP?
Man, that's rough.
It's never good when you get, man.
Yeah, and then that's rough to follow it.
Right, exactly. That's the parlay of negativity.
I think I'd probably go with AP. And again, this is all game script for me. I think that Kenyon Drake will have opportunities in a game script that I think is going to be positive for the Raiders in the sense that they'll be playing from behind or it'll be a back and forth with the Bengals. But I fully expect the Titans to be up in this game from the jump. I think Deontay Foreman will get a lot of run, but I don't think they're going to go completely away from Adrian Peterson in the sense that he is the goal line back for the Tennessee Titans. And I think that they will have ample opportunities in the red zone to give Adrian Peterson the ball. What you're hoping for is probably, I don't know, 40 to 50 yards and a TD. If you can live with that, by all means, if you think Kenyon Drake can get you more, go for it. But I'd probably start Adrian Peterson because there's higher TD potential.
All right, this is an interesting one on the surface. The data may lean heavy, but you're also dealing with matchup scenarios either way here. Emo on the chat. Hi guys, we appreciate you. Adam Thielen or Terry McLaurin against Carolina. Here's where I'm caught up with McLaurin, RC, is I know Washington's defense is so bad that they're going to be down. That means Ryan Tannehill. That means Taylor Heinicke is going to be throwing the football. Well, who better to throw to than Terry McLaurin? Carolina has the #1 pass defense for yardage, at least coming into this game, just overall yardage coming into this game. So I'm going to give them the benefit there. But then I'm like, all right, well, Aaron Rodgers banged up. I could easily see that. I have Kirk Cousins. I talked to you about this at the beginning of the show. I'm sitting Cousins for Burrow because I feel like it's going to be one of these 182 touchdown, 1 pick days for Cousins. So the matchups don't really indicate a way to go here. Which way would you lean?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Adam Thielen, if I'm being honest about it, because really the big deal for me is we know Kirk Cousins loves to target Adam Thielen in the red zone. And the thing is, they might not get there a lot because I'm going to agree with you in the sense that this does feel like it's going to be one of those 21-17 games, but it's not going to be really fun to watch. Almost like Big Ten football, right? Like nobody really enjoys watching Big Ten football out of Michigan or Ohio State, right? I mean, nobody enjoys it. Nobody enjoys
for Penn State because they suck after a couple of those losses. So
that's what I'm saying. Like nobody enjoys it outside of those two schools because they actually score and know how to put up points.
Yeah, nobody likes watching Iowa play football. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and that's coming from a guy, his alma mater just scored 0 points last night. Anyway, I think at the same time, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, those are the guys that are going to be targeted or give ample amount of opportunity to have positive games for the Minnesota Vikings. And I get it. Green Bay had a great game last week against Russell Wilson, but Kirk Cousins is much healthier than Russell Wilson right now. And you know that he is going to target Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So I'm going Adam Thielen because I think he has higher potential in PPR to come down with a touchdown as well. But I also think he can get 5 to 7 catches. And that's really all you can ask for with the touchdown potential that he has.
All right, hit that thumbs up button, please. You're hanging, you're watching. You realize I haven't done that yet. Don't worry. Still have time to do that. Do it right now would be a good time. Hit that subscribe button as well so you're locked in to what you're doing. You can even hit that notification bell to the right of it so you don't miss start time on what we have going here. Myself, RC, Nick, each and every week on a Sunday, usually start around 12:15 Eastern time and get you ready for everything leading up until 1 o'clock Eastern. All right, so let's keep it moving.
Can I let you make a lineup decision for
Please,
me? I will literally do it on camera right now.
No. I'd rather watch you throw up into a trash can after reading somebody from the Detroit Lions.
Okay, who should I start then? Dearness Johnson or Jarvis Landry in non-PPR? You can decide.
I thought we went over this already.
No, you decide for me. I couldn't decide, man.
No? It's non-PPR?
It's non-PPR.
What are you, an animal? I
don't make the rules, man.
PPR?
I just participate in the league. It's a bunch of college buddies. I never said that they were smart. We did a lot of drinking in college. Okay. It obviously affected us.
Do you put ketchup on your steak as well? What's going on here?
No, I'm not Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Jesus.
All right. Now that it's non-PPR, here's the thing though, like so much of this is dependent on game script. I think you have to go, honestly, Dearness Johnson, like,
do you want me to throw Tony Pollard into the mix and Zach Moss? There are options as well.
No, I think you made the right decision by eliminating those in the primary.
I agree. Thank you.
They didn't make it to the final ticket. I think you actually have to go, if it's no PPR, I really think you have to go Johnson. And here's why. Because they're going to be up. Detroit is horrific, especially with this kid Boyle starting. They're not going to play well. Now, there's a little bit of the letdown factor. Okay, I get that for Cleveland. But Nick Chubb, that's just that's physical domination. Problem, though, is he could easily get what he got against Cincinnati, 14 carries, $137, 2 touchdowns. Cleveland's up by a bunch. they're not going to keep running him. At
Yeah.
some point, Dearness
That's
Johnson,
my philosophy. Yeah.
yeah, is going to take over, I think, as the lead back because Cleveland is up. So isn't that the most likely thing to happen with Cleveland being up, which is the most likely scenario to happen?
No, I'm right there with you. I have Dearness Johnson in my lineup right now.
All right, there you go.
It feels disgusting because I'm starting a backup running back. But
Who else do you have?
It's bad, man. I've been Zach Moss and Tony Pollard are my other options.
No, I wouldn't do it.
I have my IR is just really hard to look at. It's Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and then Chase Edmonds. It's a rough life I live right now.
Yeah, but IR. Even looking at this last game, right, where they blew out, of course, Cincinnati. So that's a pretty good opportunity to look at how that game script played out, because Chubb's back, right, and he's balling out there. But at the same time, and it would be interesting to see, Dearness Johnson had 8 carries, 16 yards. Can you get more than that against Detroit? Ideally. So, but at the same time, you're not walking into this matchup expecting 15 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown from Johnson. You're just expecting more than like 3, 20, and 0.
Well, and the thing is, too, I don't know if you believe in this, but the squeaky wheel game, I am a firm believer in that. When a wide receiver comes out and basically says, like, hey, I need to get the ball more. Jarvis Landry did that this week with other countless guys as well. But I don't know. It's interesting to me. And then I obviously have the Bears and 49ers debacle at defense. I don't know. I'm going to be in full panic mode with everybody else here for the next 10 minutes.
All right, let's look at Michael on the chat here. Do I start Tua or wait for Murray since it's his choice to start at game time? Also have Derek Carr on the bench as well. So 3 QBs to choose from. Look, I'd be tempted to start Tua even over Murray, as belligerent as that sounds, because Murray's playing through clearly an injury and is not just going to walk onto this field healthy if he goes.
Yeah, I would start Derek Carr and Tua over Kyler.
Got it.
Just because, again, I like that matchup.
In that order, though?
In the point, I would go probably Tua, Carr, Murray.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for me. But because it's a game time decision. It's on the West Coast. I get it. But you have to make that decision now. I mean, Tua plays at noon or 1 p.m. Eastern, right? So you have to make that decision now, because those 2 later games in the Raiders and Seahawks game as well, where Kyler Murray's playing the Cardinals. So I'd probably go Tua in that regard.
All right, let's see. Pick 2, PPR, James Robinson. Let's pick 1 here. This is James Robinson is playing. I know that there were questions up and down about his availability. So Robinson is a go. And then we have Deontay and Higgins. 2 is easy because we would leave James Robinson off there, I assume, right, for a full PPR. But
yeah, absolutely.
What about picking 1 here?
Oh, okay. Trying to look at those names again. We got Robinson.
Yep, James Robinson, Deontay, and Higgins.
Yeah, you're going just 1 out of those 3 in PPR. I'm going Deontay Johnson.
Alex Collins or Latavius Murray?
Alex Collins.
Okay, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't feel bad about saying that.
No, the other one was disgusting though, and still have that bad aftertaste. Didn't get to brush my teeth yet. Man of the people in that regard.
I think so. Yes, I do. Have we ever done kicker questions yet?
I have not experienced a kicker question, but I'm all in.
Yeah, I love it here. And all right, let's see. Emmy, I apologize. Chris Boswell, Graham Gano, or Matt Prater?
Wow. Okay.
Do you need to take a time here and look at some advanced analytics as far as Gano?
Man, Boswell, no, because I don't know if they're going to be able to move the football.
Big Ben is starting. Right?
Yeah, it feels super disgusting again. Big Ben starting. Talk about a team with little to no future at a quarterback position.
Could you go Gano?
I go Gano. Yeah, I'd probably go Gano. Yeah, I think I would, because I think that at least they're going to be playing from behind.
Right.
So you got some field goal potential and some touchdown potential. So yeah, I'd probably go Graham Gano there.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. See, it's easier than you think. Right, especially because it's going to be hard to move the ball on the ground. You'd expect a couple of big plays against that Bucs defense, and then drive stalling as it gets tighter into the red zone. Gano will probably have the most opportunity at the very least. Pittsburgh and LA, it's just tough to rely on that. You're right. I love it. I think you're right. That's the inaugural first ever kicker question. We've taken
It's because
plenty of
Nick wasn't
defense.
here.
Yes, exactly.
He's got to
Maybe
make his. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to send a message. You need to start making kicker rankings.
you're right.
They're trying to send a message.
That's exactly right. Bodies are outside the door. We can hear them upset here. All right. Let's keep it moving here. M. Hart on the chat. Now, we have, especially on Odd Shopper, if you go out there and anybody placing bets should be using Odd Shopper, it fully aggregates all of our player props and really everything that Alex has on site on Awesemo as far as projections are concerned, and then factors that from a win percentage to an ROI, so you can sort throughout whatever state it's legal for you to bet in. But point being, RC, and this is M. Hart's question, to pick one, Tony, Emmanuel Sanders, or Claypool, PPR. But one of the highest win percentage bets is where Tony's receiving yards was earlier in the week. It's since shot up because I think a lot of people have bet that. But we had him projected like 68, 69 receiving yards.
Nice.
I imagine that's simply out of just volume, but it's not like he's done much over the past couple of games outside of that one like a month ago where he exploded.
Game scripts. Again, right? You think about it. They're going to be playing from behind. There's only so many weapons that Daniel Jones can throw to. Kadarius Toney has that potential. As soon as he catches the football, he can take it to the house on really any play. So I'm starting Kadarius Toney out of that trio too. And yeah, I think that 69 yards, which is a nice total, by the way, feels like a really good place for him in the sense that I think that he probably goes for 5 for 69 to 80. And then maybe you have the chance at a TD there. But if we're talking in PPR, I mean, that's a nice day from a guy that you're probably starting in your flex spot.
Right. Especially over Sanders and I think more so Claypool.
Yeah.
It's just
Claypool scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, right. Trying to avoid him more often.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to start anybody on the Steelers offense outside of Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris. I know that they got Pat Freiermuth too, and tight end is rough, but so is Big Ben. Have you watched him throw a football the past 2 years? It's not ideal.
No, I want to vomit when I see him do that. Eric on the chat, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. All right, let's do it. We'll look at these from a wide receiver standpoint, and I'm going to cut it in half here. All right, so pick one, and then I'll ask you to pick one as well on another pair. Debo or Godwin?
Debo.
Gallup or Cooks?
Cooks.
Yeah. I love Cooks this week. Somebody's going to be throwing the football or somebody's going to be catching the football. They're going to be down big.
Yeah, right there with you.
Competent quarterback as well. All right, Nate, full PPR, Kirk, Gallup, or Barkley?
Gallup.
Kevin Martin.
Oh, wait, did you say Barkley?
Yes, or Barkley.
Oh, start your stud. Start your stud.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Okay.
Yeah, start your stud. My bad.
You're just moving on to the next one, man. You had your head turned before you even brought the ball in.
Yeah. That's on me. That's a fumble. It's on me.
No, it's a drop. It's not as bad as a fumble. You didn't.
It's one of those Patrick Mahomes tip passes forward. Okay, I can respect that game.
Exactly right. Kevin Martin, Bateman or Kirk? I think you have to reluctantly go Kirk, right?
Yeah, I don't feel great about either one, but at least the offense is probably in a better situation in Arizona. So I'll probably go Kirk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, at least Colt McCoy has played recently at the quarterback position. One time good, one time bad. But yeah, I'll probably go Kirk on that one.
Jimmy, Mark Ingram or Zach Moss? And I'm going to answer for RC here and say Mark Ingram, right?
Yeah, that's easy money.
All right, just to make sure. Look, people, we love, there's no such thing as a bad question. We'll take them all by all means. But, maybe there is an angle. And look, everybody, I should say, is afforded a benefit of the doubt. Somebody may see an angle. Somebody may see a matchup. Somebody may see weather. Somebody may see injury, whatever it may be. So we like to explore everything. There's never anything called a bad, stupid, dumb question. We'll take them all. And I do see a lot of people jumping on Graham Gano as well. So maybe we did do something right here.
I made the adjustment. I'm going with my gut. I'm starting Jarvis Landry.
Oh, man.
It's going to bite me in the butt. I know it, but here we go. We're riding, boys.
Even after you initially said you like Johnson, you asked me, I said I like Johnson. And
you know
on top of that, you had him already in your roster.
You know
so
what?
You had to physically
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. I told you that you could make the decision for me. No. I will not put blame. No. Listen. Okay. I will not put blame on you. I am not that guy. I will not do that. But I will start Dearness Johnson. You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. That is on me. I'm starting the 49ers defense over the Bears defense. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt either.
Okay. No, I was just saying you subconsciously already had him in there, and then you had to.
I'm overthinking it. I need a win. I need a win bad this week. I am down bad. When you lose Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and Chase Edmonds, you're down bad.
Tough.
And not to mention Gus Edwards. I lost him before the year started. Now I'm depressed. I need to go eat some Cheetos.
All right, real quick, before you get out of here, Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
Gallup or Corey Davis?
Gallup.
Let's see if we can sneak one or Ingram. Yeah, that was the early one there. Bateman or Kirk we got to. I know there were a bunch in the middle, so I'm trying to get
really
to
going to make me upset if Zach Moss has like that one game this year. That's just going to make me so upset because I didn't even put him into consideration for this.
But to be fair, I was the one who answered that question, so I'll take the heat.
No. That's not fair. I told you could make that decision for me. I'm all about it. Yeah, well, I'll keep people posted on Twitter about it.
I'm saying when we had the Ingram or Moss one from the chat, I jumped in and
preempted. Oh, you nailed it though. Yeah, I want to stay away from Zach Moss, but that means I'm so far away from him. He's gonna come out and get like 20 carries for $120 and 2 TDs. Watch.
Now you're thinking like Nick.
All right. That's how it works. He's got me thinking like a Dolphins fan. I used to cover him and everything too, and now I'm starting to think like a Dolphin fan, and it's messing my brain up, man.
See, I'm here at least physically triggering you. He's triggering you, and he's not even here.
Man, rent free, bro. Rent free.
I love it. All right, thanks to everybody hanging with us. Again, hit that thumbs up button, please, on your way out. Subscribe does us wonders as we continue to build this base here on the Awesemo Fantasy Football Show and the Awesemo Fantasy Football Channel. At RCMB323 is how you can follow RC on Twitter at Shader Show for me. Thanks to Chris for producing. Thanks to Yahoo. Take advantage of those 2 links below on your way out after you hit the thumbs up button, after you subscribe, and we'll see you next week.